Welcome to today's Feather webinar. We're going to be talking all about multiplying your audience heading into 2025. So how can you get in front of the right people to nurture and grow your audience this year? So we'll be talking about some strategies for getting in front of new people who are relevant, as well as reconnecting with lapsed donors, lapsed members, attendees, things like that. So I want to give everyone just a couple minutes to get to join. So in the meantime, drop in any challenges you're facing so far this year when it comes to reaching new audiences, or maybe it's challenges that you faced in 2024, but what kind of barriers are you running into when it comes to kind of getting in front of new people and putting your message out there? Obviously, it can be challenging to even know where to begin in some cases. So we'll be talking about some tactics for that today, but want to kind of just get a sense of who's in the room today and what you're hoping to learn. Type it in for anyone who joins. So what challenges are you facing when it comes to reaching new audiences? Not knowing where to go to get out there and lack of budget. Yep. You work in a disability nonprofit and want to gain audience and engagement with new audiences. Cool. Well, we've got you covered with some tactics for that today. Lack of budget. Yeah, I know. I hear that one a lot. Finding the right audience, and recently in our case, this has been high-level donors. Okay. Yep, I have some tips around that, specifically sort of targeting specific physical locations in town where you might have higher income people, as well as some other awareness campaigns that can put you in front of specific groups of people based on demographics, affinities, things like that. Okay, thanks for all the answers, guys. This is great. And just kind of reading through these. Growing our Facebook and Instagram audience for a conservation nonprofit. Awesome. Making digital work and being able to recruit people as regular supporters. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about kind of reconnecting with lapsed people. And one of the things we won't get into too heavily today, but is a super important part of your marketing process is once you have these people in the door, how are you continuing to engage them and keep them interacting with your brand so that you sort of develop that loyal community of people who you know are going to come back and continue giving and respond to those sort of regular requests and just be engaged with your cause in a more meaningful way. Getting more interaction from your audience. Okay, yeah, we've got some tips as well on just email follow-up and messaging tips to sort of get more personalized with how you're speaking to people. Thanks, guys. So much interaction. I love this. Lots of really cool organizations here. The State University and our young alumni. They're coming in so fast. They're scrolling up. Okay. Young alumni see us as more of a transactional relationship rather than something to invest in. Yep. Yeah, I think reaching younger people and convincing them of the value of certain types of organizations that used to be just sort of implicitly understood by members, reaching sort of new prospective members who might not be that familiar with certain membership models or the value of joining an organization like yours. So definitely educating new audiences about the value is key, and kind of getting in front of younger people with the right messaging and explaining what you do in ways that are going to actually cut through all the noise. Okay, a small nonprofit zoo. Wow, I love this. We have a little bit of everything on here today. Seems like a really good mix of different types of nonprofits. So, okay, cool. Thank you guys so much for dropping those in. I'll ask a few more questions throughout, so I'm looking forward to seeing more engagement, but let's go ahead and dive into the content. We've got a lot to cover today. So my name is Isa Hasty. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Feather. I included my email here just in case you want to reach out. I'd love to hear from nonprofit professionals just about what you're up to, if there's any webinar topics or content topics that you'd love to see us cover. Always happy to hear from you. So we will be sending the slide deck out and the presentation recording after the webinar. So keep a lookout for that in your inbox. But yeah, you can pull my email from there if you'd like to reach out about anything at all. And then for anyone who is new to Feather, what is Feather? So we are the digital marketing platform for nonprofits. We are trusted by more than 1,500 nonprofits sort of across the spectrum, right? So as you all can see, just based on who's in the chat here today, we've got churches, zoos, orchestras, different types of associations, education organizations. So we cover, sort of run the gamut in terms of types of nonprofits. So we serve a lot of human services organizations, child services, humane societies, Goodwills, YMCAs, so a little bit of everything. And that's because we kind of help provide the basis for marketing, no matter what your audience looks like and no matter what your cause is. So sort of just helping you get in front of the right people, whatever that looks like for you. And that's going to be the focus of today, is going to be sort of this left-hand column here, acquiring new people, getting in front of the right people with these specific types of campaigns. So I'll be diving into a lot of these, as well as Google Ads. And then sort of moving along down the funnel, Feather also can help you continue to engage those people through retargeting campaigns, email campaigns. So obviously the goal of these audience expansion campaigns is to bring net new people to your site, have them click on your ads, all of that, so that you can collect more information about them, like their email, and then engage with them in more meaningful ways. And so you want to drive that initial web traffic, but the goal is to form deeper relationships with these people over time. And so that's sort of where this segment comes in. And then we also make it easy for you to report on the campaigns that you're running, track everything, and share that easily with whoever might have a stake in the work that you're doing in your organization. So what are we going to cover today? Quick agenda. So we will be talking about why growth and reconnection matter. So why do you need to grow your audience of new people, and why do you need to be staying on the radar of people who have lapsed? It's probably obvious, but I just want to kind of cover off on that. And then some audience expansion strategies, so specific types of campaigns that you can run to get in front of new relevant people for your organization, bring them into the fold. We'll talk about re-engagement tactics. And so kind of, like I said before, continuing to interact with those people who've shown interest in some way before, but maybe haven't interacted with you in a while. And then talking about measuring your success, I think there's some misconceptions around what it looks like to be successful in a geofencing campaign or a search keyword campaign versus sort of something further down the funnel where you're driving conversion. So I'm going to be distinguishing between the types of metrics that you want to look for with audience expansion versus those more ROI conversion-driven metrics later in the process. And then I'm going to show some specific campaign examples from Feather users who have run a variety of different types of audience expansion campaigns. So we can really see sort of the ads that they've run, what it looks like in the platform. And obviously, whatever marketing platform you want to use, the goal should be for you to be able to run these types of campaigns. So whether that's Feather or another tool, we're happy to just provide specific examples to kind of help you get some inspiration for your campaigns. So let's talk a little bit about why growth and reconnection matter. But first, I wanted to ask another question in the room. So what are you currently doing to reach new people and grow your audience? So we're going to dive into some specific examples. Some of the things I talk about might be things that you're already doing, but I would love for you all to just drop some answers in the chat here. So are you kind of focused on other things, not really having a lot of time or budget to get in front of new people? Are you doing events, event marketing to get in front of new audiences, maybe some social media, digital advertising campaigns? That's what I'll mainly be focusing on today. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of B, C. All right. Yep. Events and social media seem like big ones. Big focus on video. Cool. Love to hear that. An active board. Okay, interesting. Yeah. It's always great when your board is kind of in the weeds with you and using their connections to spread the good word. Okay, lots of people doing many of these things, making impactful educational content around autism and what we do at our nonprofit, also events, cool. Okay, yep. Seems like social media is the most common denominator here. Networking groups, awesome. Cool. You guys are great. I love all the interaction, and you guys are, yeah, doing lots of good work here. Glad to hear that you're all like doing many of these things already. So Yeah, I want to talk about a few things that are not on this list, sort of fall within the category of digital advertising campaigns, but let's get into some specific types. But first, I just want to sort of talk a little bit at a higher level about why you need to think about marketing as mission critical, right? So the importance of kind of continually growing your audience and getting your mission in front of new people. So obviously today's nonprofit landscape is extremely competitive. There's almost 2 million nonprofits in the US today. And so that means that nonprofits really have to start thinking about marketing as this mission critical aspect of your organization's work. So it's not a nice to have, it's definitely not a dirty word. I think a lot of nonprofit leaders and boards sometimes struggle with the idea of putting more budget toward marketing because they might not be fully bought into the idea that you have to have the right tools and channels in place. And some even think that digital marketing or modern marketing tactics belong sort of solely to the for-profit industry. So hopefully that's not, I'm sure that's a challenge you all are familiar with. Hopefully it's not. Yes, okay, yeah. Yeah, definitely drop a yes in the chat if that resonates. Yeah, Erica, I agree. Everything is marketing. You're telling a story. Without it, I don't know where these organizations would be. So it's definitely necessary, but for some reason, I think it's hard to convince the people who make these decisions about moving budget around that marketing truly is everything, right? And so social media is for entertainment. Yep, yep, yep. I've heard that one before too. And so, yeah, I mean, the fact, I'm sure all of us on here can agree that the fact is that, word of mouth, traditional marketing like direct mail and even email aren't enough to drive awareness about your organization anymore. And as you can see from the stats on this slide here, so between 2023 and 2024, the number of new donors fell by 18.1%. And then millennials have surpassed boomers as the largest generation, and then Gen Z is close behind. So these two generations are quickly becoming the majority of your prospective audience. So you have to think about ways to reach them where they are, which is online, on social media, right? Browsing the web. Um, and so running awareness campaigns through digital advertising channels and syncing that with the other types of marketing work that you're doing is just a crucial part of how you and your board members and your organization, your team need to be thinking about your marketing. So, I think another important thing to kind of, if you are thinking of ways to communicate this with those stakeholders, digital awareness campaigns still let you do all of the things that traditional marketing lets you do. So you can tell the story of your organization, explain the work you do and why and how people fit into that story, whether that's that they would benefit, professionally from joining your association or that they could help make an impact by donating to someone in need. However, what digital awareness campaigns can do that traditional marketing doesn't let you do is to reach people again in these places where they will actually notice you, right? And it's also much easier to track digital marketing campaigns with accuracy. So that's another big sort of selling point. You can see everything, you can see the numbers in a clearer way than with something like direct mail, which there are ways to track the effectiveness of that, but it's just not as precise as digital marketing. And when budgets are in question and every dollar counts, you want to be able to sort of prove that ROI as accurately as possible. So digital is the way to go for sure, combined with whatever you're working on. Internet problems. Yes, we will be sending out a copy of the deck as well as the presentation recording, Sheila. So look out for that in your inbox. Hopefully your internet problems get solved, but yeah, that will be headed your way tomorrow morning. Um, and so, yeah, so basically, you want to keep in mind that as a nonprofit, you need to be reaching people where they are, whether that's on Facebook, on their phone, scrolling, looking at recipes on their laptop, all of these things. They're more likely to, click through and sort of hear you through all the noise if you reach them where they are. And another quick point I want to make before going to the next slide is that I think it's important to keep in mind that as a nonprofit, you are in a very unique position to offer people a message that they actually want to see, because we're all bombarded all day with ads about products and services that we may or may not want to buy. But if you use the right tools to reach people who've demonstrated an interest in work like yours, it will be a more welcome message for them among all the other noise. Because at the end of the day, we want to do good and we want to feel good. So don't be shy about offering people a chance to engage with you by promoting your cause in all the places you possibly can. So yeah, okay, let's move on. Hopefully I uh, made that point and I think we're all probably in agreement on it, but just wanted to really hone in on that. And so some quick challenges that you might face when it comes to actually reaching and engaging your audiences. So audience saturation in digital spaces is a big one. So again, feel free to like drop any comments if any of these in particular resonate with you or if you've struggled with them, just because I think there's solidarity in that. But yeah, a lot of nonprofits are competing for attention in the same spaces on social media, inboxes. And so it can be kind of hard to stand out through the noise, which is another reason why running multi-channel marketing and kind of showing up in as many of those channels as possible is a way to ensure that you get seen. Another challenge is around audience saturation in general is that, platforms like Facebook and Google do prioritize paid content. So that can make it a little bit harder to reach people organically in those spaces. Data limitations are another big challenge. So a lot of nonprofits might struggle with sort of incomplete or outdated information about donors and members. And that can make segmentation and targeting less effective or just less easy to do quickly. And obviously, a lot of the new privacy regulations like GDPR can kind of make it difficult to track and can limit your personalization options. So these are all very real challenges that can make it hard, especially if you're a small nonprofit kind of operating, with limited time to deal with all of these things, and you're just trying to get things out the door. Another challenge is declining donor engagement. So, lapsed donors often lose touch due to unclear, communication, lack of personalization. So I will be talking a little bit about some personalization tips in this webinar. Yep. It looks like declining donor engagement is a big one for you guys. Yeah. And then obviously, economic pressures, especially on younger generations, have made it harder for donors to give as generously as they could in the past. So this can kind of make it difficult for nonprofits and make it so that you're having to find new ways to demonstrate value, new ways to actually give people an option to contribute that isn't necessarily giving money up front. And then lack of resources is a huge one. Small teams are often wearing multiple hats. This can make it difficult to execute strategic campaigns. Again, you might be trying to get things out the door, you're overwhelmed, you don't necessarily have a lot of time to sit down and go back and analyze, last year's campaign and have that inform this year's. That is definitely best practice, but it's totally understandable when you don't feel like you have the time to go back and do that. So having the right tools in place, the right reporting tools, can really help save time and make that a much more intuitive process. And then the last one here, sort of inability to track and measure success. So again, nonprofits a lot of the time don't have the tools to actually see with accuracy what's working in their campaigns and what's not. And it can be hard to tie, ROI specifically to certain types of campaigns, and that can make it difficult, again, to make that case to your board or to your ED about putting more budget, because if you're not proving the ROI, it can be really difficult to get funding and to get the support that you need in order to actually generate that ROI over time. So, yeah, it's looking like a lot of people are saying, that it's just difficult to prioritize that process of actually getting in front of, or sorry, actually looking at the data and having that inform your current campaigns. So yeah, let's dive into some specific audience expansion campaign types that you can use. So geofencing is a great one. This lets you serve ads to people based on their current or their previous locations. So mobile geofencing lets you basically draw kind of a little geofence around a specific geographic location and serve ads to people who are at that physical spot. Historical geofencing is another one where you can actually serve ads to people who were previously in a specific physical location. So with both of them, you're sort of drawing the boundary around the space that you want to target. So that could be an event venue, a neighborhood, a part of town, things like that. And you can target people with ads either currently or in the past based on where they were. And some examples for ways to leverage this for reaching new relevant people. For example, if you are looking for some big ticket donors, you could target high income areas, golfing events, wealthier neighborhoods, places where that you're going to be reaching people that have a little bit more money to give with ads about your cause. If you're looking for new members, you could geofence relevant industry events. Universities are a big one. A lot of the time universities and even high schools host career fairs. And so those could be a type of event that you might want to sort of geofence to get your ads in front of those people who are in your industry potentially, and potential members of your organization. And then you can also get creative with geofencing. So if you are geofencing an event, for example, a lot of the time at events, people are sort of busy talking to people, networking, listening in sessions, things like that. So one thing you might want to do is also geofence the like sort of relevant places around that. So maybe bars, restaurants, hotels, airports, so that when people leave the event and go back to their room to rest or go back, to the airport or they're at the bar waiting for people to join them on their phones, that's a great time for you to try to be showing up with those ads for your organization. Um, and yeah, let's go on to keyword search. Okay, so this type of campaign lets you serve ads to people around the web based on their search history. So I just want to clarify, this is not the same as Google Ads. I will talk about Google Ads in just a second. But this, I know that those can get conflated when you hear the term keyword. But this is basically paid search campaigns that let you actually serve ads around the web rather than on the Google page. So with Google Ads, where you're showing up at the top of the search engine, the search results page, sorry, this is serving ads just like geofencing or other types of display ad campaigns. You are showing up wherever people are browsing online based on these words that they searched for previously, right? And this is a great thing to combine with Google ad campaigns because you're kind of covering all your bases that way. And Ivana, so these specifically are examples from Feather, so you can use Feather to run all of these campaign types that I'm going over, and you can build the ads and run these campaigns in the Feather platform. And basically, you're just uploading a list of keywords that you want to target, right? And Feather specifically does have some recommendations to help you kind of narrow down that keyword list and make that as optimal as possible. And then you create your ads, and then you're targeting people who search for those specific terms with those ads around the web as they're browsing. All right, and then affinity campaigns let you tap into enormous new audiences based on specific demographic, in-market, industry data, things like that. So if you're a charity looking for some big ticket donors, again, you can target affluent audiences who might have a history of donating, for example. Or if you're an association looking for professionals with, in a specific medical field, you can get as specific as things like pediatric medicine. You can type in keyword or key phrases like women in tech to get these highly specific groups of affinity audiences here that you can then dump into your campaigns and serve ads to them. So, one of the greatest, I think one of the greatest aspects of affinity campaigns is that you're getting immediate access to these new audiences without the need to build up a large database of first-party data. So, with retargeting, you need people to visit your website, and then you're cooking them to then to serve them ads once they leave. And of course, web traffic is the goal. You want to be able to retarget people and serve them those ads to sort of drive them and engage them to convert down the funnel. But with Affinity, you're just selecting from pre-vetted target groups that are built into the platform. So again, Feather offers this, other platforms offer this, and this is sort of a way to just get new traffic on your site so that you have more of that first-party data. You can bring people back, hopefully get them to fill out some forms, register for an event, make a donation, all of that. So then you can email them and engage with them on those deeper levels. All right, and then Google Ads, I just wanted to cover this one real quickly. So you're probably all pretty familiar with what Google Ads actually is. So again, this is when someone types a search term in the Google search engine, these search results that come up at the top, it says sponsored here, these are the paid search results. So these are Google Ads, and then everything below are organic search results. So if you've done any SEO for your nonprofit, you know that involves optimizing your website and your content to show up as high as possible on the Google search page organically, right? And so Google Ads, on the other hand, are these paid ads that let you bid for the chance to show up here. And then you click if someone pays, or you pay if someone clicks on the ad. So it is a pay-per-click model. And so, yes, this is, again, a great thing to run alongside keyword search campaigns, especially since a lot of the time those keywords are going to overlap. So if you've put in the time and the work in developing that list of relevant terms that you really want to target with your ads, might as well do that with both these Google search results here, as well as ads that follow people around the web and show up when they're primed to see your message. Quick note, if you are a nonprofit that is leveraging Google Ad Grant, you can run that in Feather alongside your other campaigns, which kind of helps consolidate reporting, makes it a little easier to run everything in the same campaign builder. All right, so some re-engagement tactics when it comes to actually getting back on the radar of people who might have lapsed. Okay, so want to ask another quick question in the chat. So what are you currently doing to re-engage lapsed supporters or lapsed donors or members? So are you highlighting impact stories, running personalized email outreach campaigns? Are you running targeted digital ads to kind of get back on the radar, remind them of the value? Inviting them to events, asking them to subscribe to newsletters. Let's see what everyone is up to. BD and direct mail. Yep. Yeah, I didn't include direct mail in here, but that is a very clear one. Phone calls are also another thing. I think I've heard a lot of nonprofits kind of like to get on the phone with lapsed donors and just have that more personal touch. Okay, B and D, newsletters, yep. Direct mail and e-marketing. I decided to email and send an update on our progress because of their support. Yeah, that's a great one. I think I talk about this a lot on webinars as well, but just kind of showing the real life impact of people's support goes a long way, and just reminding them that you appreciate their contributions and that you're still thinking of them and that their participation in your organization or in your mission is critical, and that you're sort of tracking that and translating it into something that is meaningful to them. Postcards and quarterly update booklets, cool. Okay. Nicole, I don't know what LYBUNT is. I don't know if LYBUNT is the way you say the acronym, but yeah, let me know what that is. I'm curious. Terrific sponsors and donors to show all the impact their donations made. Yep. Handwritten thank you cards, nice. Yeah, I think personal touch goes a long way with lapsed donors and lapsed members, because, it's going to be a smaller pool than your entire audience, so more manageable to do something a little bit more personalized. And again, the recommendation is to do as much automation of personalization as you can, just because that will save you time. But handwritten things for the right people, absolutely. Don't ever want to stop doing that if it's working for you. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for all these answers, guys. All right, so before we get into some re-engagement tactics for lapsed donors, I want to just set like a little bit of a context here that you don't want to assume someone is lapsed too early, because then you might end up saying the wrong thing or trying to push, a recurring giving option or something on somebody who's not ready to hear that. So, you have to have realistic expectations for your audience. So if someone gave to your cause monthly for 2 years and then they haven't given in 6 months, that might be a case of, okay, I think that that's a lapsed donor. Let me see if I can use some more explicit re-engagement outreach to see what happened. But for example, you don't want to consider somebody lapsed if they don't consider themselves lapsed. And so you have to be careful there, right? So for example, if somebody gave in November of 2024, so this past November, they might not consider themselves lapsed until 2025 comes and goes. So they might think, okay, I gave in 2024 and I'm planning to give in 2025. And if they don't give again at all, in 2025, then maybe in 2026, you could add them to a list of lapsed donors. But you just want to be sure that you're having appropriate expectations for how often someone is going to give, and sort of segmenting people appropriately so that people are not feeling like you are bombarding them with too many asks. And again, balancing the asks out with delivering value, providing updates, providing that impact report when you have it, and just sort of showing value outside of just asking people to give their money, because that gets annoying if that's all you're doing. Okay, last year, but unfortunately not this year, some year, but okay, cute. I've never heard that before, but that's great. Okay, and then email mapping is another really great campaign type to re-engage people who were once sort of in the fold with you and they have not engaged with you in a while. So we call this email mapping in Feather. You might have heard it called CRM retargeting, but this is a way of expanding your audience by serving ads to people whose email addresses you have, but maybe they haven't been opening your emails, or maybe they haven't been to your website in a while. So just to be clear, no emails are sent as part of this campaign. You're just using the email address as a unique identifier to then serve relevant ads to people across the web, making it more likely for them to see you, right? If your emails are drowning in the inbox or something like that, this just provides you another channel for reaching those people whose emails you already have. So you just upload a list of email addresses, and so this could be a list of event attendees or past members, past donors who haven't engaged in a while, and then you're serving them those ads. And again, they don't have to have visited your website recently, like with retargeting or other campaign types. You can reach them simply because you have their email address. Yeah, I'm glad to provide a new idea that you've never thought of. Okay, cool. And then tips for personalized email automation. So obviously email is another big one that you want to be thinking about ways to sort of make more efficient for your organization. So just some tips for actually automating, or some tips for making your communications via email just more personalized. So segmenting your lapsed donors, you want to identify donors who gave once versus donors who gave multiple times but haven't returned, versus people who are tied to a specific campaign. And then you want to leverage donor data as much as possible to get more personalized. So pulling in any CRM data you have to highlight past giving amounts, specific programs that they supported. Maybe they joined your organization in June of 2021 and never renewed. So around that month this year could be a good time to sort of show up again, re-engage them, and remind them, hey, you chose to be a member of our association 4 years ago. What's up? Want to come back? And then on a similar note, kind of using milestones or achievements as an excuse to re-engage lapsed donors or members. So celebrating anniversaries of their last donation, or maybe organizational milestones that you achieved thanks to their support. These are great reasons to reach out. So an example here is, it's been 2 years since your gift helped us fund scholarships for 25 students. So just a little example of some messaging. And then this is an example from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I've liked this email. It's just nice looking, simple. And this is obviously to lapsed donors, kind of trying to bring them back into the mix. And then I loved this experiment here. So Next After does a lot of experiments with copy where they A/B test different things, and sort of what works best in ads and emails. And so this was a really cool experiment that aims to evaluate whether emphasizing donor autonomy, so kind of language that reinforces a donor's sense of choice and control about their giving, whether that would influence donation rates and overall responsiveness. And so this experiment was conducted by Next After, and they did it in partnership with an NPR station during their year-end fundraising campaign. And so they basically sent a series of 5 emails to a lapsed segment of that organization's audience, their donor base, to see sort of what resonated more. And so this was the control email, and then this was part of the sort of test email. And as you can see here, this just puts a lot more emphasis on the donor sort of having the option to choose if they want to step in and make this impact. So kind of giving them some context, you're one of 3 more people that we need. Yes, I can be one of the donors. So just using language like this to kind of put the power back in the donor's hand and give them, I think, almost a sense of responsibility or accountability to make that decision. Do I want to do this or not? As opposed to this, which is like totally fine, but a little bit more generic, sort of almost like a tagline vibe versus really calling their attention, putting the ball in their court to make a decision. And then you can see the results down here. So for the control, they got a 0.01% conversion rate versus this one here that did emphasize donor autonomy language. They saw a 0.07 conversion rate. So you can see obviously that incorporating that language did result in a huge jump in engagement and conversions. And so while the results are not statistically significant, so that needs to be over 95% to be considered statistically significant, I think that it's safe to say that this would be something that you could keep doing and expect to see good results. And again, just, testing things is the way to go. So wherever you have time and space to kind of think about just even small A/B tests, A/B test, a couple subject lines, things like that. Better, to do some small testing than none at all, and you can actually find really cool results like the ones that Next After finds when you're just testing different language and different imagery and layout. CTA buttons are another really good one. Test the color on your CTA buttons or the language. And you might find that something works much better than something else, and then you can kind of start adopting that in moving forward. All right, so I wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about measuring success of audience expansion campaigns. So I think like I said earlier, there's some misconceptions around what success looks like with awareness campaigns. So unlike donor retention campaigns or cart abandonment campaigns, right, which are very connected to ROI and conversion numbers, these types of efforts don't always show that immediate return on investment. So there are other metrics that you want to focus on when you're running audience expansion, sort of awareness campaigns that will help you see what's actually working and what's not, how far your budget is taking you, and how many qualified people you're actually bringing into the fold. So I think it's just important to have realistic expectations around what ROI is going to look like for a geofencing campaign, which you might not have any clear ROI connected to that, but you will have tons of impressions, click-throughs, and just web traffic from that, versus an email cart abandonment campaign where you might have multiple conversions attached to a campaign like that. So here's just an example of what part of a dashboard looks like in Feather for an awareness campaign. So this is from the National Minority Supplier Development Council, which is a Feather user. This is just an example of one of the ads that they ran here promoting one of their conferences. And so this was an affinity targeting campaign, and you can just see sort of some of the, the metrics that you want to be tracking. So you want to be tracking impressions, how many people are actually seeing your message, click-through rate, are people actually interested enough in the ads that they're seeing to click through to learn more? Website visits, is your campaign actually driving traffic to your site? New audience growth, so how many new people are interacting with your brand? And then spend performance is a big one. So, are you actually getting the reach that you want while staying within your budget? So is your CPM staying low? Generally, you want to see this actually between $3 and $10. So I will say this is a little higher than usual, but this organization didn't overspend on total budget here, and they also ran a ton of other campaigns in tandem with this one, and they made, I think, more than $480,000 in ticket sales for this conference between all of those campaigns combined. So they definitely made back what they spent on this campaign. So there's definitely some benchmarks for what these metrics should look like. And sometimes they're a little higher, but they definitely saw the returns from the campaigns that they ran. And these affinity campaigns were a huge part of funneling new relevant people into the mix that they could then sell tickets to down the funnel. All right, so let's talk about some specific or some real campaign examples to kind of put all of this into a more tangible context. So I wanted to just kind of run through a few examples of organizations, different nonprofits that have run some of these awareness campaigns to raise money for donation campaigns or to drive new member signups. So Hope in a Future is an organization that helps foster children reach their potential and achieve their dreams. And we're going to look at a couple of campaigns from a project that they did to drive 2023 donations. So this was an affinity targeting campaign, and you can see here that they were able to actually get this specific group called affluent parents and target that with the ads that you see here. So they included other, groups in these affinity campaigns. I think they included some groups called wealthy families, and they ran 6 different affinity campaigns using just different groups that are similar to this one, where they were able to actually target people who clearly have more money and have more disposable income. And they also targeted, I think, some people who made religious donations in the past. So obviously people who attend church are often more likely to give to charities, and so they wanted to include those people in the mix, and so they were able to pull an affinity group for that. Mobile geofencing campaign that they ran, so you can see that they served ads to people who had been at these specific locations that you see listed here. They included a couple of churches, since many people, again, who are attending church are also donating on a regular basis to charities. They targeted places like the ballet and this zoo, places like this, an art center. So I think, targeting places like this might be because people who are attending events, arts events might have disposable income to spend on leisure. And then they I like this one, they targeted the zoo, which again, might be for the same reason. People who are paying to do leisurely things might have some income to give to a charity, but also zoo visitors might be more likely to have children and might feel more of an inclination to give to an organization that helps kids in need. So, and just to kind of cover off on a few of the results from these campaigns. So they ran those two campaigns alongside other awareness ones, plus email, retargeting, and other campaigns, social media, all of that. And so those were all part of these overall results. But the awareness campaigns they ran brought in 142,000 new audience members and actually brought 3,778 new people through to their website who had never been to their website before. And they, through a combination of all of these campaigns, they were able to bring in more than $85,000 in donations at 142 donors, which is awesome. And then ASCRS, so this is the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery. Their mission is to empower anterior segment surgeons to improve the vision, outcomes, and quality of life of their patients through innovative approaches to education, advocacy, and philanthropy. So the campaign we're going to look at is their 2023 to 2024 membership drive. So again, I know we probably have some associations in the mix here today, so I wanted to cover, an example that hopefully will resonate with you and show you how you can do all of this for driving membership as well. And for, getting people to your conferences. So all of the use cases for associations, you can, you can use these awareness campaigns to get in front of the right people for those use cases as well. So ASCRS members are actually a very specialized group of ophthalmologists who specialize in front of eye surgery. And so this means that the hard part isn't figuring out who this organization wants to target. It's grabbing the attention of these specific people who are very, very busy professionals. And so as you can see here, they went straight for their target audience by selecting these groups. So doctors of optometry, optometrists, people working in eye doctors' offices, and so just selecting industry categories that align most closely with their member base. And then I think the ad here just does a great job of being visually appealing and digestible, but then still specific because it mentions the anterior segment surgery, which is the specialization required to be a member. Right there. Cool. And then let's see how we are on time. Okay, good. Okay, so then they also ran an email mapping campaign. So like we talked about with email mapping, this is a great way to serve ads to people whose emails you have, who were previously engaged with you and have since sort of disengaged for whatever reason. So this is another example of just kind of dipping into past audiences to expand your current one. So ASCRS uploaded a list of about 8,000 email addresses of lapsed members and then served them these ads. So again, with this campaign type, you're not sending emails. It's just like geofencing or other display ad campaigns. You're serving those ads on different websites, on social media, wherever your members or lapsed members are spending their time. And for a lot of these lapsed members, it had probably been a while since they had come to the site, or it's likely that it had been a while. And so again, this is a great way to reach people who are who might not be in your tracked audience anymore because they haven't been to your site, and kind of bring them back into that tracked audience, and then you can continue to reach them in other ways. So just some quick results here from the overall campaign. So again, that combination of the awareness campaigns we just saw, plus other awareness campaigns and sort of the middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel campaigns, they were able to bring in 63,700 new audience members, and they got 2,617 clicks to their site. So this was new and existing audience. And so this might be, people who are regularly engaging with them, lapsed members who hadn't come to the site in a while and came back, and new people who had never been to the site before. They got $27,877 in conversion value through those new memberships. And so that was 66 new memberships that they got through these campaigns. All right, and then the last example here today is the Quad City Symphony Orchestra. So their mission is to inspire, entertain, and engage the Quad City community through superb symphonic music, music education, and cultural leadership. So we'll be talking about their attendee acquisition campaign for their 2023 Nightmare Before Christmas in concert show. So they ran a keyword search campaign. So for this campaign, QCSO uploaded about 100 relevant keywords that they wanted to target, and then they served ads to people who were within the geographic limits of the venue and had searched for any of those terms. So if they searched for those terms, I do believe they had Google Ads running as well, so they might have seen sponsored ads at the top of the search results page, but if they didn't see those or didn't click through on those, they would then see these ads in other places around the web because they had searched for those words. So this is a great way to reach people based on those keywords that you might be using in your Google Ads campaigns in a different way. And then they ran an affinity targeting campaign as well, a few different ones actually, as you can see here, based on purchase history. So they pulled in data from 9 different affinity categories, I think, and tried to reach the most relevant prospects for their Nightmare Before Christmas show. And it was based, some of them were based on ticket purchase history. So this included people who had an affinity for things like horror movies, musicals, family movies, Broadway shows, so anything relevant like that. So people with interests like that would probably be interested in seeing Nightmare Before Christmas in concert. There's also this category here of people who spent between 128 and 9,999 on music and art entertainment. So that's obviously a huge range, but the ticket price for Nightmare Before Christmas, I believe, was just a little over $100. And so I think the assumption here was that anyone within this range could either swing the price of a ticket or it'd be a drop in the bucket for them because they're used to spending a lot of money on arts and entertainment. So, and QCSO also set some geographic filters on this campaign to only target specific nearby areas in Illinois and Iowa, since the orchestra is on the state line and serves both states. So she wanted to make sure that she was, not spending budget on targeting the whole country with a show that was taking place locally. So that's another tip, is when you're running any of these awareness campaigns or any ad campaigns in general, using geofilters to make sure that you're optimizing your budget. So if you're hosting, a local event or a local fundraiser, you can throw on some geofilters onto whatever campaign to make sure that you are, spending that budget targeting people who are the most likely to actually be able to attend. All right, I think that almost wraps it up. So just some quick results from this campaign. So they brought in 6,487 new audience members and 4,120 clicks to the website. So again, new and existing audience. So this might be people who had come to a show a couple years before and hadn't been again. They came to the site. New people who didn't know about QCSO until they ran these campaigns, they came to the site. And then people who maybe had been to a show the week before. So a big combination of people, but that's a good number of clicks to the website from these campaigns. And then they earned $22,436 in ticket sales from their feather campaigns alone for Nightmare Before Christmas. So they had 196 ticket purchases for that show. And then I think, this particular customer just does a really good job of segmenting her audience and tailoring her marketing to the most relevant segments. And so a lot of her great results just simply stem from her using Feather really well and being a good marketer and knowing how to do marketing and segmentation really well. So like building groups based on shared interest or even attributes like age. So for example, millennials might be more likely to attend a show like Nightmare Before Christmas or Harry Potter in concert because of that nostalgic component. So I think this user, I love her, she's great. I feel like she thinks really critically about and strategically about her audience and just ways that she can segment them and get more targeted so that every campaign performs better because of that. So props to her. And to all of the organizations I just showed, I think they're great examples of, yeah, some of the best ways to run these campaigns. And I think some of the ads we saw are great just in terms of layout and design and ad copy, just being engaging and digestible, but also communicating as much information as you can in a limited space. So yeah, shout out to all of these Feather users who allow me to show off their amazing work on these webinars. So yeah, okay, well, that wraps us up.